Hey folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for a Vintage Cube video. It's the holiday season, which means that it's time for some broken things in a draft format. So just as a heads up, if you have a Magic Online account that was created before the middle of this month, you get a free entry into one round of the Vintage Cube draft. So this is me using my free round. As a heads up, if you want me to do more Vintage Cube, please donate for that now so that I have time to get those recordings in and then kind of sprinkle them out on a regular release schedule. This is a limited time event, so it'll disappear at some point, I think next month. Okay, a couple things about this Cube video. Number one, if you want to comment on my picks, please do so with a timestamp so that I can get in the right mindset. If you just ask me, hey, why didn't you pick Muldrifter? Like, I'm probably not going to answer that because I'm not going to know when Muldrifter was, and I'm not going to rewatch my entire draft to answer that question. Thing number two, I'm not a Cube expert, but I enjoy doing it a couple times a year. Let me know what your thoughts are on the picks or some of my play patterns. Cube is hard, and there's like so many different ways that you can branch out. So let me know your thoughts. If you're new here, please consider throwing me a subscription for sweet Magic content all the time. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before we get started. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's get right into it. Okay, looks like we're jumping right in there. How do I scale this up and make this bigger? Card size. Okay, let's try something like this. Well, it's auto-highlighted Kiki Jiki for me. What is this? I don't know this one. All right. You can cast it from your graveyard if a creature not named this died this turn. Interesting. I have no idea where this is from. So things that stand out to me here are Oath, Kiki Jiki, and Entomb. Reanimator is one of those things that I think just tends to be generically powerful, but it's also something that people might end up fighting over because it's pretty good. I also could just like take a Signet. A Signet would almost always make the deck no matter what. I think I'm going to pick one of the two degenerate cards. I think I'm going to take Entomb. There's more generic ways to get into Reanimator than there are ways to get into a Kiki Jiki combo. Okay. I can just take what is probably the most objectively powerful card here in Treachery, or I could take... this card is way more powerful than it looks. It's just very strong. Thirst for Discovery is okay on the Reanimator plan, as is Seasoned Pyromancer, but I'm not going to like marry myself into a plan based on pick one. Grim Monolith is also pretty respectable. That's going to make it into most decks, but I think I'm just going to take the like very powerful Treachery. What does this one do? Can't be blocked. Loot when you deal damage to a player. Okay. I don't know how many ways there's going to be to do Valky unfairly in the cube. I think I'm just going to take the generically powerful Force of Will here. Oh, apparently, Okay, what does Fallen Shinobi do? Deals combat damage to a player, exile top 2. Until end of turn, you may play those cards without paying their mana cost. Oh, I've been on the wrong side of this. This card is rough. I don't know this one. First Strike Reach. Throw some stuff, sure. Keeping the Reanimator plan alive, I think I'm going to take JVP. If I just end up in blue, it's pretty likely to make my deck anyway, and it's a way of getting stuff into the graveyard. Ooh, I'm really glad that this card is in here. I love this card. Do I take Mana Fixing, or do I take a medium reanimation target? It'd kind of be like a tertiary color thing to pick up the fixing here. I think I'm just going to pick up the Massacre Worm. Okay. This pack is kind of whatever for me. I'm going to take one of the 2 mana rocks. I think I'm just going to take the one that costs 2 mana. Deck is of medium quality currently. If the reanimation stuff ends up working out, I think this is pretty good. If it doesn't, I'm still open enough that I can pivot pretty hard. I expected I would be one of the slower drafters, just by the way, as I'm like narrating my lines, but apparently I'm kind of on track. Okay. There's like 4 cards here I would be okay picking. Valk, Channel, Leviathan, Dark Ritual are all reasonable. Dark Ritual is the best on-theme thing currently, followed by Inkwell Leviathan, but Channel is probably the strongest thing here and gives me a reason to potentially go into another color. This is a 7th pick Channel. If people aren't respecting the Channel, then I might end up getting Eldrazi later on. Bone Shredder or Signet? I think there's a lot of things. Well, I could also take the Una's Prowler and, like, keep this Reanimator Dream alive. I haven't seen, like, a Reanimator payoff card, but this is a late Reanimator Enabler. There's also another late green card here. I have 2 late things pushing me in different directions. Okay, so we're back to the original pack. I don't know if I want to be on the triple blue card. But I'm not overly impressed by this thing. I'll take the Cryptic. I'll take the Thirst. That's another discard thing. This is another discard thing. It's fine. I could just take the Dragonlord Atarka, though, as a target. I only have 1 target right now. But this one's more likely to make my deck no matter what. Let's keep the Reanimator Dream alive. Probably not playing a Palinchron. Probably not going to be doing any of that stuff. I'll click on you. I don't... Oh, okay. I expect to get Reanimator cards then if we're getting a last pick Inkwell Leviathan. Okay. There's a lot of cards here I would put in my deck. I'm going to pick the Mox Ruby. Like, it's a Mox. But, like, Earhulk, Bitter Blossom, Metamorph, Preordain, maybe even Woe Strider would probably just make this deck. I will probably table something from this pack one way or another. Okay. So, Corpse Dance is not really where I want to be. It's a 5-mana recurable reanimation spell. But, like, it's worth 1 attack. I don't think I want to actually take that card. The issue with taking that card is, like, someone else might read that as a signal. I think I will get one of these 2 creatures back, given that I got a final pick Inkwell Leviathan last time around. So I think I'm just going to take my first piece of mana fixing here. I think Duress is also reasonable. Hello. You can't go to the graveyard, though. I can do cool things with you in Channel. I still don't have the actual reanimation card that I need. I'm gonna take the Mystical Tutor to give me a second copy of a reanimation spell if I get one. Otherwise, I could just take Terastodon as something that I can play if I don't end up getting reanimation stuff and I end up going into green for Channel. But if I end up in green for Channel, then I really want Olamog. I'm not sure on this pick. This one's hard. I think I'm gonna keep the dream of doing something unfair alive. Getting nervous now. Do I just pick a generic good card like Tassiger? Or do I take my first piece of removal? Probably just take my first piece of removal. Alright, in you go. Okay. Alright, so, like, the creatures are coming. But where are... Like, where are the reanimation spells? Oh, YouTube, I'm scared. I'm so scared right now. I'll take another removal spell. Okay, okay, okay. Alright. We have at least one now. The deck is not just totally dead. Oh. Oh, there's good cards here. Like Memory Jar, Putrid Imp, Lily, Portent are all playable. I don't really want Putrid Imp right now, but I could really want Putrid Imp later. If I get more reanimation spells. I think I'm just going to take the manipulation, though. Alright. Do I just want a generic body here, or do I want to just take the objectively more powerful card? I don't really have bridges to get me to these things yet. Woe Strider would be a bridge to just help me stay alive. I don't really want Corpse Dance right now. I have enough bodies, though, and they're respectable bodies. I'm just going to take the Corpse Dance in case I don't get another reanimation card. Fatal Push is fine. Alright, I think at this point, I'm pretty confident that I am not going to end up in green. I'll take this as a sideboard card. I feel like I'm in the right archetype and just, like, the reanimation stuff hasn't gotten opened yet. That's my hope. Otherwise, we have a pretty weak blue-black control deck. Oh, Inquisition or Gilded Lotus? Gilded Lotus just allows me to cast some of this big, stupid stuff. I'm going to take that because I'm scared of not getting enough reanimation stuff. There's a lot of worlds where this does not end up making the deck. But in the times that it does make the deck, I think it's quite important. Because, like, it'll allow me to just cast these fatties thus far without any sort of issue. Yeah, so, like, the thing about Cube is you pretty much always end up with enough playables. Let's hope that doesn't make the deck. Bloodchief's Thirst probably makes the deck in game 1. Thirst is okay. I don't know how many fatties I want to play. If I play the Gilded Lotus, playing more of them is super reasonable. I'm in a sort of awkward situation where if I open something really good like a Lotus, but I also open a Reanimate, I might have to make a very sad and disciplined decision. I have Entomb, Jace, Una's Prowler, Thirst as ways to get stuff into the graveyard. I have Mystical Tutor to find those things. Power Word Kill, huh? That's not bad. Alright, what is my deck looking for? Borrower, Grave Titan, Mana Leak, Mere Battlesphere would all probably make the deck right now. I will probably get a fatty back. I think I'm just going to take a Mana Leak. I'm not doing too hot in the interaction department. I've passed on a couple of early discard spells. And so Think, oh. Ooh. Okay. Powerful cards here. Twister kind of works against my plans. I probably just take Consecrated Sphinx as the creature that both is hard castable and is a fantastic reanimation target. I might take Rotting Regisaur if it comes back around. I think at this point, Dragon Lord Atarka no longer makes my deck, because with Gilded Lotus I can hard cast the rest of these, at least some portion of the time. So, On-Color Signet would be cool. Additional reanimation spells would be cool. Alright, what are we working with here? Deluge and Spell Pierce and Sundering Titan. Sundering Titan's pretty good. But I think I'm okay in the fatty department. I think my deck has other needs, either or main deck or sideboard. I have 3 removal spells, plus a Woe Strider to get in the way, plus a Treachery. I'm doing okay on removal. I think I'm gonna just take the Deluge, though. Like, when that... Oh. Thank you! Thank you. Okay. Deck is saved. Okay, well, saved is an over-exaggeration, but, like... Now I am not nervous about just having a functional deck. I would like to pick up a fetch land or two, or maybe a white-black or white-blue dual land, so that I can more easily get the flashback on Burial Rites. Right now I only have 1 white source, probably. I might be willing to play 1 plains, but, like, the issue is this. Like, every non-island thing I put in this deck, just Recurring Nightmare? That card does not work in my deck right now. Can I make it work in my deck? It's so good. No, I think if I had the Mirror Battlesphere, I would be more tempted to pick that up. Spellseeker just tutors for my Reanimate. I think I'm going to pick up that card. I don't think anything here ends up making my deck. The only thing that might is Emery. And I don't think I'm interested in Overgrown Farmland. I'm going to pick up the Emery. I don't think I'm playing it, but there's Worlds. It's just less consistent than some of my other looting effects that I already have, and I'm already going to have to make cuts in this deck as is. Okay, actually, I do have a second white source. Gilded Lotus is a second white source for the flashback. Interesting. I don't think I'm going that direction. I don't think I'm going the Yorion direction. I think this is very specifically one of the things that I was looking for, right? Like, it's a black land that gives me a better splash for the Living Death. Whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, yeah. The other thing that's here is thieving, Skydiver that I can use to, like, steal Moxen and stuff, but that's a board wipe. I don't think I need Avenger. This is not crazy. I think I'm just going to take this as a sideboard option, though. That's the Regisaur. It's a weird card. And that sometimes it's insane and sometimes it's absolute garbage. And it varies wildly. Okay, Sundering Titan versus another dual land. Thundering Titan is so good in some of these matchups versus multicolor greed piles. I'm gonna go ahead and go for it. None of this stuff probably makes the deck. So let's do our last couple of picks here. Will I play a Lotus Petal? Probably not. I'll put it in the sideboard, though. Okay. I would have liked one more reanimation spell, but I think we're going to have a functional deck here. Alright, so I'm probably going to play like 16 or 17 lands. I have 2 pieces of acceleration. That's probably okay playing 16. I want to hit my land drops, though. So let's junk these. I need to cut a handful of cards. I probably cut one of these fatties since I added the Sundering Titan to my deck. I think that means I move Massacre Worm to the sideboard here. And now it's a little hard to get all this stuff on screen. So I have 3 reanimation spells. 1, 2, 3. Living Death is kind of the odd one here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 removal spells. I can probably play the Toxic Deluge in just the post-sideboard games. The next question is, like, do I want to play Rotting Regisaur in game 1? It's just something I can play on turn 3 that makes some of my cards better. But there's going to be some games where the Rotting Regisaur is super awkward. How many ways do I have to get things into graveyard? So I have Prowler, Entomb, Jace, Thirst. So I have 4 ways to get things into graveyard. Rotting Regisaur would be the 5th. Oh, I also have Bloodchief's Thirst, actually. Is my mana actually good enough to play this Cryptic Command? Not really. Like, it is an insanely good card. It gives me a lot of utility. But I didn't pick up any blue-black dual lands. Maybe I junk that. So I would need 2 more cuts if I want to play 16 lands. Let's move the Regisaur to the sideboard. I get away without playing the Woe Strider. Like, is my deck broken enough that I can do that? Not sure. It might be. Alright, so let's get these in here. And let's add basic lands. How do I feel about the 7/7 that this suggests? I kind of feel like I should be 1 heavier on black than blue. I guess I already am, though, because of this. Eh. So, like, the thing is, in the worlds where I want to hardcast the Grizzlebrand, I want more black sources. I'm going to add 1 more swamp to the deck instead. So this is 3, 6, 7 sources of blue. Nah. Alright. I will, I think, all this good. I think this is a medium quality vintage cube deck. Hopefully we can get some wins on. Let's see how the games go. Okay, so I do not have black mana here. The rest of the hand is, like, very good, but I don't think I want to just gamble this hand entirely on whether or not I get black mana. This hand is not great, but I probably keep it. It has both of my colors. I'll pitch one of the 2 fatties. If I were to entomb one of these, I'd probably want to entomb the Sundering Titan, so I'll throw that one back into the deck. I'll also want to hold off on fetching. because of, like, I know a card that I don't want to draw is currently on the bottom of my library. So I'll just kind of pass the turn here and see where this goes. I'm not, okay, that's fine. Like, I've got a mana leak available for whatever my opponent does. I don't think I want to play the Prismatic Vista out yet. Like, playing the Prismatic Vista means that if I top deck a Swamp, I can play Murderous Rider next turn. But I think I just want to, like, ever so slightly improve my draw quality for just a minute. That is not something that I have to mana leak. I can Power Word kill that instead. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just going to plan on Power Word killing that end of my opponent's turn. I will wait till the end, though. I think I'm willing to take 2 points of damage in order to hold up Mana Leak for the rest of their turn. Oh, that might mean that my opponent can play around a Mana Leak. Okay. Goodbye. Absolutely cannot let that happen right now. Opponent did not have like a Spell Pierce effect to finish me off there. That's good. But if opponent is playing ramp stuff like that, then there might be other haymakers that I have to deal with. Am I just gonna swift end this? If so, do I do it now to deny a mana from Gaia's Cradle? I feel like yes. So let's do that. It still means that this thing gets in for the same amount of damage that it would, because it costs me 2 life in order to play that. So next turn I've got just play Murderous Rider as like a lifelinky thing. I've got Power Word Kill for a large creature that my opponent plays, but I'm not very good against another Planeswalker, yeah. Okay. I can at least make some of their lines a little awkward. But the whole untapping Gaia's Cradle thing is super cute. I'm willing to just Treachery a Beast token for tempo. I think that's what lets me get rid of this Garruk. So I'll take the Treachery here. Not really how I want to do this. I'll untap all 5 of my lands. And then I'll just cast this. And then next turn, I can Power Word kill the other blocker that they make, and then crash in and kill this creature. Things change if they play a large creature that I have to Power Word kill. Like, they might be able to protect their creature then. But we'll see. There's worlds where they end up just drawing, like, mana dorks and ramp cards and whatnot instead of threats. That makes me nervous. How bad is it? 6 mana. Okay, what is this? Okay, so they get 2 wolves when this thing, the backside attacks. Okay. Yeah, so basically I'm casting Power Word Kill on that. Like, message received. Oh, jeez. Okay. Non-angel, demon, devil, dragon. Now it's day. Okay. I think it is just non-negotiable that I have to kill that. The Hydroid Crassus is going to be another problem. I need to draw something unfair. Am I trying to kill this Planeswalker? I think I'm trying to protect my own life total here. Like, if I can get a big dumb creature like one of these into play, I can do some gross things, but oh no. Yeah, I think without cheating a fatty into play, my opponent is going to just overrun me here. This Hydroid Crassus is such a problem since my opponent has Gaia's Cradle. Yeah. They could have, like, Gaia's Cradle, untap Gaia's Cradle, made the Hydroid Crassus even bigger than it already is. I guess they do have to worry about they have to worry about decking themselves in a limited format, so that may or may not be correct. That's disgusting. So that's a 6/6. I hit a land drop and just okay. Well, this is a start. I play this flying, and it just kills me in 2 turns. Next turn, if I absolutely have to, I can just attack in with Murderous Rider to gain 2 via lifelink. and then go from there. But doesn't use Finale of Devastation too. Yeah, I think my opponent's like handily got this one. 4 mana. Ugh. No. Do they take my Murderous Rider or my Jace? Like, do they take the thing that lets me stay alive 1 turn? I don't think they have to. I think they just take the Jace. Just keeps anything degenerate from happening. And they can also just alpha and kill me next turn as well. They still have so much mana due to Gaia's Cradle. Oh, jeez. Like, I'm going to take my draw step, but I can't imagine a world in which I win this one now. I need to board in this toxic. Okay. 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 Yep. Opponent's deck is pretty respectable here. So, we're in a lot of the same colors. I don't think I want Sundering Titan. I'm going to bring in the Dragon Lord Atarka instead. I probably want the Massacre Worm as well. I probably want the Toxic Deluge. I'm going to have to board out 2 other cards. Blue count is a little low for Force of Will, and I think I'm going to be trying to like use a lot of 1-for-1 cards against my opponent in the first place. I think I'm going to go ahead and junk this. And what's my other cut? Unsure. I need all my removal spells. I need all my discard enablers. Maybe I just have to trim a selection spell. Not super happy with that. You know, I think I'm in for this. I think I hold the Mox Ruby for a little while because I know my opponent has a Trigon Predator. It may or may not still be in their deck, but... Okay, opponent is mulliganing to 5 here. Okay, so they kept on 5. I am just going to do this before they have the ability to, like, do something random like a Daze or Spell Pierce. Okay, on turn 5, what creature do I probably want if my opponent is getting board wiped first? The answer is probably Grizzlebrand. Let's just put that in the graveyard. There's some worlds where, like, this allows my opponent to just, like, play towards actually removing this with something like a Scavenging Ooze. That's an interesting draw. Like, using that prior to the Living Death is kind of awkward. I don't think I'm going to just take the 1-for-1 here. If I end up giving my opponent a couple of mana dorks or something, I don't think it's the end of the world. Oh, okay. I probably can't pass up on, like, an early 3-for-1 here. And I'm not guaranteed to just hit the black source for the Living Death immediately. There's a 4 toughness right now. Alright. I'll take the 3-for-1. There's also worlds where I just, like, don't play the Living Death. And I just end up hardcasting a Consecrated Sphinx instead and winning the game that way. Like, I don't need to return this stuff if I can just, like, dominate the game in another way. Okay. I need 1 more mana source for Consecrated Sphinx. Okay, opponent has no plays for their turn. Nice. Now, there are worlds where they can have counter magic, but I don't think I saw any the previous game. Yep, that's a fair concession. Do I want to change anything? I don't think so. I think I've got all the removal that I have access to in the deck already, and that's kind of the big thing. I kind of want to make my opponent stumble in some of the early turns. I'm probably going to keep this opening hand. It does not have removal, but it has a way to get a Grizzlebrand into the graveyard, and it has a mana leak. I think this is going to be fine. My opponent straight up just skipped their turn. Cool. I'm good with that. Just going to fetch out a swamp here. Like, I know that I want a swamp, and I don't want to draw more swamps. Little confused about what my opponent was doing there. So I want to play this later. I think I just want to get my Signet down this turn. Like, I don't care too much about mana leaking most of the turn 2 plays that I've seen from my opponent. Enters tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Okay, sure. I'll just cast this. And then I'll play an Una's Prowler out while holding up mana leak. I don't know that I want to immediately discard some of these fatties. Like, I don't have enough colored symbols for Grizzlebrand yet, but I'm, like, well on the way. A Hydroid Crassus for X=1. Yeah, you can have that. I'll mana leak something more threatening. A Toxic Deluge. That's a fine draw. I'm on 6 mana. Grizzlebrand's 8, Inkwell's 9. Yep, I think I just chill. Like, if they attack me with Hydroid Crassus, I'll just attack them back with Una's Prowler, and, like, that's an interaction that's good for me. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, no. Okay, yeah, they don't attack. They see the writing on the wall. Okay, so I'm at 7 mana. I have Grizzlebrand with 1 more land drop here. So much for reanimating, huh? Just absolutely not the plan right now. Okay, what is this? This is the Squirrel. Attacks each combat if able. Indestructible. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Sure. Okay, so now the Hydroid Crassus is going to just come in. So I think I'll go ahead and block. I think I go ahead and discard an Inkwell Leviathan here. And then if my opponent wants to discard a card to kill my Una's Prowler, that's totally fine. Yeah, absolutely good with, like, this situation. Now I can just Toxic Deluge both of those away if I miss my land drop. Which I did. So let's tap like that. Deluge for 1 to kill those. And then I'll hold up Murderous, or Swift End, rather. This creature or Planeswalker. I hope I didn't miss the fact that that could kill Planeswalkers previously. I don't remember if I had that in hand when, like, the Garruk was around. If I did, I messed up. Goodbye to you. Okay. There's Grizzlebrand. Ooh, that's not Grizzlebrand, actually, is it? I need quadruple black, and I only have triple black. So that means I am just casting this, then. Okay. Situation's alright, but opponent... Oh, no. That card's very good. This is obnoxious. So, at the beginning of your end step, the oozes get bigger. Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Alright, there's a Grizzlebrand. Let's see. Is there any world in which I want to draw 7? I've already made my land drop. I guess I'm going to do it anyway. Like 100% of the time. Okay. Yeah. This is good. This is good. So I can Treachery the Biogenic Ooze and take that, and then, like, use Power Word Kill and Bloodchief's Thirst to clean up afterwards. Ooh. How bad is this? It destroys a non-creature permanent, so not bad. I'm going to Treachery and take that, I think. So taking the Biogenic Ooze is interesting as well. Alright, so Treachery this. Actually, I want to pay for Treachery with all land-based mana. Or at least I want to have 5 lands tapped when I cast it. Alright. Treachery that. Are we done? We're done. Okay. We win the match and we start out 1-0. Okay. Round 2, my hand doesn't really have anything going on here. I'm just going to mulligan this and try to find something a little more broken. This does not have blue mana. That said, on 6, I probably keep this. I try not to mulligan too much below 6 in limited. Your win percentage goes down just so much when you do. Unless you just, like, have the ability to just, like, do something incredibly broken with, like, some power or something. I think I'm going to end up playing my Shattered Sanctum just tapped on turn 1. My opponent just skipping their turn? No, okay. We're playing against, like, a mono-red aggro deck. I'm thankful they don't have a 1-drop. Alright. Nope. So I can play an Una's Prowler that will trade with an early creature. Okay. This card can be scary and constructed. I'm not sure how it's going to fare in cube. This doesn't really do anything for me right now. I'm just going to go ahead and play the Una's Prowler and try to trade it with this creature. So my opponent can, like, between discarding cards and casting cards, make it so that, like, my Una's Prowler is not particularly good at blocking with this. But I think I just need to buy time. I'd like Deluge, Woe Strider, maybe Massacre Worm for this matchup. This also is probably going to be a Rotting Regisaur matchup. Oh, I was about to say, because it will be hard for my opponent to answer it. I don't want to discard anything here, so this occurs. Some of the black removal that my opponent could have might miss Rotting Regisaur as well. Reanimate. So I'm not quite there doing something broken yet, and I don't think I'm desperate enough to just like reanimate an Una's Prowler yet, because I will just instantly win the game if I reanimate some decent sized body. I think I'm willing to take maybe 2 hits from this before I just like begrudgingly say like, okay, I have to reanimate this Una's Prowler to buy time. But I'm not there currently. Oh. Alright, definitely scared. So that means I'm getting hit for 3 this turn. Oh, I wish I had the Toxic Deluge in game 1 right now. Yeah, oh, they were Hellbent, so that was just straight a draw 2. Absolutely gross. Needle pointing very much in favor of my opponent right now. Okay. So, what instant or sorcery could I search for? I could search for like a power word kill or a fatal push. I have options in that department. I am really just hoping, I guess, to draw a fatty, loot it into the graveyard, and win. So I think I'm just going to play JVP here over Spellseeker. Like, Spellseeker plus power word kill is something that allows me to like do better on this turn because I avoid taking damage from Runaway Steamkin. But I think, oh my god, I think that if I don't go for a winning play here, my opponent is going to run me over. So I think Spellseeker plays to not lose immediately, whereas JVP plays to win. Although I think this one is just over. Yeah, I think I can go ahead and safely concede there. So I want Massacre Worm, Roast Rider, you. I don't think I need the Dragon Lord Atarka as well. We got 4 cards I'm going to board in. Again, my blue count's a little low for this. Thundering Titan doesn't seem great. And then did I just board in another creature? I did board in a Massacre Worm instead. That seems fine. Need to cut 2 other cards. About the Portent, I don't know that I have the time to not be casting things on curve. Well, this does take away one of my turn 1 plays. How do I feel about the Gilded Lotus here? Probably still important. Important to some of the games that I win. You know, what about Treachery? No, Treachery's too good. All right, I'm gonna cut the Lotus. It makes it harder for me to just hard cast some of these fatties, but I'm not trying to win via hard casting. Okay, Entomb, Reanimate, Grizzlebrand. Hell yeah, absolutely. Just this is the broken thing my deck can do, and I don't expect my opponent is going to be particularly potent at answering a Grizzlebrand. All right, yeah. Okay. Well, I might not take Grizzlebrand now. I might just take my Trampler. Yeah, I think I'm going to take my Trampler here. I don't want to, like, run into this I get chump blocked forever world. All right, you've got your Bitter Blossom. I've got an Inkwell Leviathan. I can technically die to, like, a whole bunch of burn that gets hucked at my face, but I have my opponent on a 3-turn clock. That's pretty aggressive. I think I'll be fine. I guess randomly, like, an Edict would get me. Okay. Yeah, so I just power word kill the token that they equip, or I can just play a Rotting Regisaur and be like, yes, you can have 2 Jote counters. I think I'm down for that. This is just a big dumb dinosaur. I haven't done the math, but there's also worlds where like they end up trying to hold back the Rotting Regisaur, or sorry, they end up like trying to hold back one of these with a Jote equipped. Yeah, this is fine. So I think I just power word kill their blocker now and just have them dead this turn. Or no, that's not true. Actually, it's true in a different way, right? So, like, I power word kill this. I'll discard Una's Prowler, and then, like, I'll just kill them with their own Bitter Blossom. So I'll go land drop, cast, blow that up. My opponent gains 4 life, going to 15, and then they take 14, die to their own Bitter Blossom. I don't think I have a ton of stuff that actually allows me to muck with artifacts and enchantments. Is this a matchup where I want to bring in this Emery as a way to just, like, mise getting things into the graveyard to potentially go faster? Like, is an Emery better than a Roast Rider? This isn't going to be a 1-mana play, though, in this deck. This is going to be a 3-mana play in this deck. I don't actually know that I like that. This isn't a legacy deck where this thing just, like, almost always costs 1. Like, I only have 2 artifacts. I guess. You an artifact? Yeah. Okay, I guess I technically have 3 artifacts, but not in a way that's meaningful. How is this hand? It's not bad, but it's not good either. I have no play before turn 3. What did my opponent do? They've kept. Am I winning a hand that is this slow and this fair? Sometimes. I'm gonna mulligan, though. This is a much better hand. Do I just bin the Sphinx? I think I just plan this to bin the Sphinx and try to win the game with a Rotting Regisaur backed by 2 pieces of removal. One's a sorcery. Okay. Okay. I mean, I've drawn something new to discard. That's totally fine. I'm going to keep the Prismatic Vista in my hand for a little while. Okay. I mean, I think I'm happy to see something this slow. So I will probably end of turn Mystical Tutor for Reanimate, then play Rotting Regisaur, discard Massacre Worm, reanimate Massacre Worm. That sounds great, but I can also leave up Power Word Kill. Okay. Yeah, I need 2 Power Word Kill that. That card's very good. You're a Spirit Warrior. That's not any of the stuff written on here. Goodbye. So now I'll just play my Rotting Regisaur. And I'll set a stop on my turn. Go ahead and fetch. I'll grab another black. And I'll go ahead and play out Reggie. Opponent does not have black mana showing, so they probably can't kill this. They can technically huck 2 burn spells at it. That would be a lot of resources, though. Oh, fantastic. Do I want to leave that in play? Like, do I want to take 1 and then drain my opponent for 2 more? Yes, I do. Alright, so I'll discard Massacre Worm. I will Mystical Tutor. I will grab Reanimate. I will reanimate Massacre Worm. Oh, yeah. So I'll just always yield to those. That deals 4 to my opponent. And I'll crash in for 7, and then I have lethal next turn. I can also just take a blocker out of the way, and neither one of these is going to be answered easily by red removal. I think that means we're 2-0 now. Okay, yeah, we're 2-0 now. Good stuff. Maybe this deck is a little better than I gave it credit for. Okay, round 3 opening hand has 3 mana, but no black mana here, no card to pitch to the Force of Will. I think I'm just going to go ahead and throw it back. I'm going to try to use Portent to hit a swamp and keep this hand. So what's going back? Living Death is going to be really hard to cast. I need 2 black pips in order to do it. Gilded Lotus can technically bridge that gap. So one of these 4 cards goes back, and I'm not sure which one it is. They're of similar value. I think there's a good chance that I fall behind, so these cards have more expected value than normal. I think I'm going to throw back the Gilded Lotus. I think it's probably more important for me to have high impact cards that I can play if I do actually hit my land drops. Okay, that helps. Do I want to use my Portent now? I don't think I do. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play that tapped now, and then that guarantees that I can play the Signet the following turn. And I can kind of like wait a little while and use my Portent when I have as much information as possible available to me. Spellseeker potentially can get me like an Entomb to put a fatty into the graveyard. I wonder if my opponent is going to be a controlling deck. Oh, I reanimate. Click? Click. Okay, I don't have anything to say about that. So, opponent's definitely in a weird situation. Where, like, there's definitely value in taking my portent and trying to just get me stuck. But, like, Spellseeker can represent a whole bunch of broken things, like Entomb. Counter spells are going to be pretty good against my hand, I think. Okay, they have taken the Spellseeker. That's reasonable, because that would have resulted in, like, Entomb happening right now. I will portent myself here. Okay. How much do I like those cards? I think I like those cards quite a bit. So I think I'm going to go Murderous Rider on bottom. Then the order doesn't matter too much. The other two. You may shuffle. No, I do not want to shuffle. I'll just make my land drop here and call it a turn. So now I have JVP just chilling. I don't have double blue pips for either of these cards yet, but my plan is like use JVP, discard Consecrated Sphinx, attempt to reanimate it. And then if that doesn't work, at that point I'll answer the Vandalion Click. Alright. Let's attempt this. Like, opponent has 5 cards in hand and has only played 1 spell this game. In one capacity or another, I do not expect this to work. I just kind of assume that this is going to eat a spot removal spell of some kind. And here it is. Oh no, it's a Thirst. That's fine. Hey, discard a fatty for me. I think they're going to discard a basic land, though. Call it a hunch. They discarded a basic land. How I play my next turn depends a lot on whether or not my Jace makes it around the table. Like, right now, my turn looks like Reanimate plus, okay. So now my deck is getting shuffled. And now my opponent has a Grizzlebrand. Or maybe an Inkwell Leviathan. That's not going to matter too much, though. Like, I have this Living End. I'll use that as a board wipe. If I have to. So if my opponent gets Inkwell Leviathan, I Living Death it away. If my opponent gets, like, Grizzlebrand, I try something like... Oh, fuck. That's 3 of my lands. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the good news is I can still make a Consecrated Sphinx. The bad news, there's some other problems with this current situation that have to be resolved. You're literally 1 card too late here. Alright. Loot. Discard Sphinx. Do I have a better thing to reanimate than just the Sphinx? Like in Grizzlebrand, I take 8, go to 6, and then I have to like chump block on Sunray Titan. That's not good. Okay. I'm not sure how I really get out of this situation. It's gonna require some good hits. I'll reanimate this. I go to 8. Which means that I can potentially block Vandalion Click and go to 1 here. Yes, absolutely, I will use this ability. Guess I'm punished for not entombing Grizzlebrand, but I wanted to leave up. Well, I guess I can't power word kill. Yeah. Alright, I'll take that damage. This is when it dies too, right? Yeah, enters or leaves the battlefield. Now I can't Force of Will. Means I can just be dead to like a stupid burn spell or something. Okay, sure. Yep. Ruby is insane. Okay, alright, I'm fine. Well, sometimes I'm fine. Alright, so there's a land. There's a Ruby. Loot. Discard a Grizzlebrand. Alright, there's no world in which I live if Living Death gets countered, right? Yeah, because they have 2 creatures. If I chump block this one, I still die to that one. Okay. So that means I should attack. Alright, so I get in for the damage. Then I can do this thing. Living Death. No. No. Yeah, I mean, kind of knew something like this was coming, and I have 1 life. So, the Force of Will does not save me, unfortunately. Ugh. Alright. So, I don't know how much I'm going to sideboard here. Like, I nearly wiggled through that situation. Wish I had more counterspells that did not cost blue, 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 blue. Or blue, 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 rather. I didn't see very much of my opponent's deck. Like, my opponent just kind of killed me in 2 turns with one of my cards. Like, they have a Vendilion Click. Some of my spot removal can potentially go out. But I'm not sure that I want Rotting Regisaur here, where, like, it's not guaranteed to just, like, end my opponent unquestionably. Woe Strider as a value card is not necessarily bad. I think I want to play a Woe Strider over just, like, one random, like, Bloodchief's Thirst or Fatal Push, and then call that good. This hand has lands and spells, but doesn't do anything. I think I'm gonna fish for better. And then I'll keep this. Pitching probably 1 land. I don't know, like, I really want to hit my land drops. Like, I would just be using Portent to find a land anyway. Although, if I use Portent to find, like, something that puts, like, an Entomb specifically, that would be much better. Yeah, Portent finding Entomb is pretty high upside. I think I'll play towards that. I'm also going to need another black source for the living end, so, like, there's that as well. I think I will just start here and just do this immediately. Yes, absolutely yes. The rider can go on bottom, and then I'll take the other 2 of these. Okay, so I've got stuff that keeps me from dying in the early game. I'm going to hit my land drops. I think my opponent's still favored, but, like, I have realistic paths to victory. I can also just, like, straight up play the Murderous Rider as a non-removal spell and just play it as something that starts to poke my opponent for 2 lifelink a turn. There's worlds where I'm supposed to have, like, mulligan this hand, though, because, like, my opponent just has, like, a 5 mana I win the game card in their bribery that I'm not super good at beating. We'll see, though. I'm going to try to play conservatively with this mana leak. I'm not sure to what extent I'm actually going to be able to do that. Like, I don't know what my opponent's early game looks like, or if they even have an early game. I didn't see an early game last time around. Alright, there's your land drop. Is that my win condition? Or do I just counter this? My mana leak becomes so much worse if I don't counter this. Like, I think I'm just gonna fight over that. I really wanted to play differently with the mana leak than this, but I don't know. That giving the control deck that much mana and turning on their planeswalkers sooner and, like, their more expensive counterspells sooner is pretty rough. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, is Murderous Rider a removal spell or a threat? Given that I have kind of 2 more removal spells, I believe it is a threat. I will regret this if my opponent plays a Planeswalker that can protect itself. Otherwise, this would still just pressure a Planeswalker like a Jace on an empty board, and that, like, would not be the end of the world. Okay. Alright, I have too much of the same side of the deck currently. Click. Feels like click. Nope. Removal spell? Okay, it is click. I'm gonna go ahead and just kill that now and not give my opponent the opportunity to remove that spell. I think my opponent is just gonna leave both of these cards in my hand. I am correct. So now I get to pressure my opponent for 2. And we'll see what tap out threat they can play here. If they have a decent one, they just get to resolve it and I don't get to say anything about it. Glenalandra. That's a pretty respectable card. So if we trade 2 points of damage, I slowly pull ahead here, right? Because mine has lifelink and theirs does not. But this is just so very good against what I have going on here. I think my opponent is just, like, unquestionably ahead despite the life total difference here. Oh, no. Oh, sure. That's not all that bad for me. So I take 6, but I regain 2 of it. This is fine. Yep. Alright, so I go to 18. Yeah, okay. So I'll take my 2 points of life back. Oh, opponent is pausing. Do they have, like, a lightning bolt? That would be a very dangerous thing to tap out for. Like, Don't think I would be on board with that in their position. Oh, it's another pause. Okay, the damage does happen. I will absolutely attempt to reanimate their Vendilion Click to speed up my clock. I think this just trades for 1 counter on Glengalandra. Okay. They do indeed counter that spell. So now I only take 5 this turn. Assuming the Wandering Fumarole activates again, which it seems like my opponent is kind of low on gas, so I think it's happening. Yep. Yeah, I'll take the 5. Like, I'm still doing absolutely fine in this race. I'll crash in for my 2 again. I don't think I have any reason to play this Ruby right now. I wish Unburial Rites was from any graveyard, although that would probably just be too broken. Oh, Expressive Iteration is so good here. Coalition Relic. Absolutely. Like, I'm good with this. This is a turn where I don't take 4 damage from Wandering Fumarole. Like, I only take 1 from Glenalandra. Absolutely fine with that. So I go to 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be 6. I need 2 more mana sources to make Grizzlebrand work. Am I at the point where I pump the brakes on attacking with Murderous Rider so that Wandering Fumarole can't attack? I might be. The thing is, if I leave this back and just take 1, I'm not in any danger whatsoever, and I can try to just get to hard casting this Grizzlebrand. This says non-creature very specifically. It's not just like ripping 2 spells from me. Yeah, you can have your charge counter. I guess I should always just yield to that. I'm not expecting to do anything with that. Okay, do you actually have white spells? That is double white. We're in Mardu. We're in 4 color. Oh. You don't say. That gets to return the Vendilion Click. So my Living Death is now a very real card. I will have to find a way to cast that. And I am not sure how my opponent is going to react to seeing this Grizzlebrand in my hand. Like, do they take that, or do they take this Living Death, which threatens to, like, undo everything that they've made on this board? Oh, they've left it. They've got the confidence. That's a signet. I guess the starting point is, like, fire this off, see if my opponent responds. They do not. At which point, I fire this off and see if they respond. This is 3 or less? Okay, so this can't return a Glenalandra. I can just cast Grizzlebrand next turn. Do I cast this Living Death? If I do so, Glenalandra counters it, or they use a counterspell on it. I think I do. Like, I would be fine with this as a board wipe, given this board. There's also a world where... is this a May? It is a May. Okay. Alright, so the Glenalandra is dead, meaning that Unburial Rites is on for future turns. So... that's nice. Ooh, I only have black, black, black for Grizzlebrand right now. I have the correct amount of mana, not the correct colors. Do I chump block with Murderous Rider to buy time? I think so. Treachery is an insane draw. Black Source is an insane draw. Even just a spot removal spell for the Sun Titan is totally reasonable. I can also just, like, Unburial Rites Murderous Rider a couple times to, like, buy time. I have a little bit more time than it might immediately look like. Control Magic is bad for me. So my opponent was, like, thinking, like, do I just want to 2-turn clock them, or do I want to be able to answer this Grizzlebrand if they rip the Black Source? That's tough. Because now there's a lot of times where they lose just to me having a Black Source here. But they win in a lot of the worlds where I don't just have the Black Source immediately. Okay, they're not going for the Fumarole. They're leaving something else up. Okay. Do you want your Mana Crypt? Oh, they do. That seems risky to me. Alright, unfortunately, I do not rip the black mana source that I need. Alright, so I am dead, and my shot at the trophy is as well. So we end up with 100 free play points courtesy of Wizards of the Coast. Okay, right, that is not here. So I want to re-grab this screenshot then. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not broken, but pretty solid. Overall, I was pretty happy with the deck. There are things I wanted, like a couple of blue-black dual lands would have gone a long way towards improving this deck list, because I did get into some of those situations where I did not have, like, enough black mana for Grizzlebrand. Like, my Signet could have been on color, that would have been fine. But overall, this was an okay deck list. Like, I'm not sad with any of the things that were in here. Like, there are some smaller problems. Like, for example, my blue count is a little low for Force of Will. That's fine. I don't have a ton of card advantage. And I didn't quite have enough consistency to just, like, always get my cards into the correct zone and then be able to reanimate them as well. But I enjoyed this a lot. Let me know what you thought of the deck from your end, and throw me a like before you leave if you haven't already. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!